she has created a lot of publicity for Disney, and not always
good.
The cartoon was made 85 years ago, and it's extremely dated.
Big focus on her love story with a guy who literally stalks her.
Yeah.
Weird.
Yeah.
Nobody wants a movie about true love.
She's dreaming about becoming the leader she knows she can be. All of Andrew's scenes could get cut. Who knows? It's Hollywood, baby.
It's a solid 3 out of 10.
That despite my flaws and despite my cracks and my breaks, and there are many of them, that at every premiere and everything I do, people will wait in line to see.
It's Hollywood, baby.
Rachel Zegler panicked the moment she realized the Simpsons weren't just mocking her. They were allegedly plotting to do it again.
What would you say to those who are just kind of overly critiquing the film at this point? You've worked so hard on it.
Hold on.
All right.
According to explosive new leaks, insiders say Rachel didn't just get upset when Snowwoke, the Reimagining, aired. She spiraled. Sources close to the situation claim she hit full-blown panic mode, scrambling to shut down the first episode, only to discover her reaction had done the unthinkable.
I mean, you know, the original cartoon came out in 1937, and very evidently so.
It reportedly inspired the writers to start brainstorming a second parody aimed squarely at her. Let that sink in. Rachel's own panic didn't stop the mocking. It fueled it. Allegedly, the second Rachel saw the viral clips flooding TikTok, clips that mirrored her real-life Snow White interviews almost word for word, she ordered immediate damage control. Urgent calls were made to Disney, to Fox, even directly to the Simpsons producers. The demand? Pull the episode, edit the character, make it disappear before it got any bigger. But behind the scenes, her desperation didn't frighten the network. It amused them.
It's lonely. It's very lonely.
One Fox insider reportedly said it flat out. If she hated the first one, she's really gonna hate the second. Because in the world of The Simpsons, pushing back doesn't end the story. It escalates it. Rachel's frantic attempt to erase the parody didn't just fail, it allegedly handed the writers a goldmine. A real-life Hollywood meltdown playing out right in front of them. Satire writes itself when the subject panics. And according to insiders, the writers are now plotting a follow-up episode that could hit even harder than the first. And if Rachel thought the original Snowwoke episode was brutal, insiders say the next one might leave her nowhere to hide and no way to spin it.
The movie is doing catastrophically. They spent $300 million and it currently has a 2.2 out of 10 rating on IMDb.
It started with a few tags, then a few dozen, then hundreds. Within minutes, Rachel Zegler's phone was blowing up, and not in the way any actress wants. Clips of Snowwoke, the Reimagining, were everywhere. TikTok side-by-siding her real interviews with her cartoon parody. Twitter threads dissecting every brutal frame. YouTube reactions titled things like Rachel Zegler, roasted beyond recognition, climbing into trending. Insiders say Rachel didn't even finish watching the full episode before panic set in. The moment she heard the parody princess lecture woodland creatures about toxic tropes, she allegedly froze. The moment she saw Krusty the Clown mutter into his earpiece, "Why didn't anyone tell me we cast someone with a podcast?" she allegedly snapped into action.
It's not funny, Bart. Millions of girls will grow up thinking that this is the right way to act.
According to sources close to her team, Rachel immediately ordered an emergency response. Phones started ringing at Disney headquarters. Calls were made to Fox's legal department. Urgent emails were sent to the Simpsons producers. The message, insiders claim, was simple but frantic: pull it, now. But Fox wasn't just unmoved, they were reportedly entertained. One insider said Rachel's team sounded like they were calling the fire department after the house had already burned down. The episode was already out, it was already viral, and legally, it was airtight under Satire protections. And here's where the panic allegedly flipped the script. Instead of slowing down the buzz, Rachel's frantic reaction supercharged it. Behind closed doors, writers who had already moved on were now laughing and scribbling new notes.
Rachel is literally the star of a Disney movie, and she acts like she's some sort of victim, and that's the sort of mentality that is just poisoning people's minds. Like, she acts like her life is so bad.
If the first parody captured public frustration, insiders said, a second one could capture something even sharper: celebrity panic. Because in a world that loves to build stars up only to tear them down, Rachel Zegler had just delivered the one thing even more meme-worthy than bad interviews: an unscripted meltdown. And in the eyes of the Simpsons writers, that wasn't a crisis, it was a sequel. If there's one thing the Simpsons writers love more than satire, it's when their subjects hand them new material. And according to leaks swirling behind closed doors, Rachel Zegler's frantic behind-the-scenes reaction didn't just amuse the team, it allegedly energized them. One insider familiar with the situation put it bluntly: Rachel panicking was the best confirmation they could have asked for. It proved the parody hit exactly where it was supposed to. And once that happened, the mood in the writer's room allegedly shifted overnight, from celebrating a successful roast to plotting a second strike. Because here's the reality with The Simpsons: when celebrities laugh along, the show moves on. But when celebrities melt down, it's blood in the water, it's tradition. Remember when President Bush Sr. grumbled about the show in the 90s? They parodied him harder. When Elon Musk tried to downplay his satire episode, they roasted his self-seriousness even more viciously.
I just want to tell you guys about incredible movie that just came out, Snow White. Wow. I just got to tell you, best movie I've seen in years, and there have been some really good films lately. Madam Web, Rebel Moon Part 1, that movie, that transgender one with the Mexican drug lord. But Snow White blows them all away. Chat, this movie has everything. Horrifying, CGI, little people, check. A feminist princess who don't need no man, double check. Diddy dance party at the end, double diddy check. All this to say, go see Snow White right now. The new one, not that old stupid one where the princess gets saved by some good, upstanding guy.
Poking the bear never stops the bear. It feeds it. And by allegedly panicking, by allegedly trying to erase the parody instead of owning it, Rachel didn't just poke the bear. She practically threw it a steak dinner. Writers reportedly joked that they didn't even have to brainstorm new material. Rachel's own reactions were writing the sequel for them. Rumors are swirling that early pitches involve a parody princess, not just sabotaging her own kingdom, but trying to cancel Krusty the Clown for airing satire. Another idea allegedly floated: a second fake press junket where the parody princess bursts into tears mid-interview because no one appreciates her leadership journey. It's brutal, it's relentless, and it's exactly how The Simpsons have survived for over 30 years, by turning real-world drama into animated immortality. And if the leaks are even halfway accurate, the next episode won't just mock Rachel's version of Snow White. It'll mock the very idea that Hollywood stars can control the audience's laughter. Because once you panic over a punchline, you don't kill the joke, you become it. When Snowwoke, the reimagining first hit the airwaves, the internet didn't just react, it erupted. Overnight, the parody wasn't just a segment on a cartoon, it became a cultural landmark. TikTok, Twitter, Instagram, YouTube. Everywhere you turned, someone was remixing it, memeing it, or side-by-siding it with Rachel Zegler's actual interviews. And the scariest part for her team? No one thought The Simpsons were reaching. They thought they were reporting. Every smug soundbite Rachel had ever given about Snow White being outdated, or the prince being a literal stalker, was now reflected back through the warped yellow mirror of satire. And it felt sharper because it was real.
I am walking into Snow White, 2 p.m., now seating. Let's see how empty it is. I hope it's off the woke we go. I hope. Sound like I hear a couple of people. One, two.
Viewers weren't laughing at a cartoon version of Rachel Zegler. They were laughing at everything they'd already been feeling, but hadn't said out loud. And the reaction wasn't split. It wasn't half the internet defends her, half roasts her. It was almost eerily unified. Comment sections flooded with phrases like, "They didn't even exaggerate, they just pressed record. This is what we've been screaming for months." The Simpsons did what Disney wouldn't. By the end of the first 24 hours, the internet had unofficially crowned Rachel as something worse than a villain or a victim. She became the symbol of Hollywood's tone-deaf arrogance, where classic stories weren't honored, they were lectured over. And that's why the fallout didn't burn out in a news cycle. It metastasized. Reaction channels churned out breakdowns that racked up millions of views. TikTok audios using the parody princess's voice flooded For You pages. Meme accounts declared Rachel the final boss of bad PR. Even people who had never cared about Snow White suddenly cared about this one thing: how badly Rachel had mishandled the magic she was given. That's why, when whispers started about a sequel, no one was surprised, because the internet isn't done laughing. And thanks to Rachel's alleged panic behind the scenes, The Simpsons aren't done writing. If you thought Snowwoke, the reimagining was brutal, buckle up. Because according to multiple insider leaks, the ideas floating around The Simpsons writers' room for a sequel episode are even sharper, even meaner, and allegedly directly fueled by Rachel Zegler's behind-the-scenes panic.
Disney deleted Someday My Prince Will Come and made a modernized feminist alternative.
Sources say the writers are leaning into a new theme. What happens when a celebrity tries to cancel satire itself? One early concept allegedly sketches the parody princess storming onto a live Krusty the Clown special, armed with a megaphone and a cease and desist scroll, declaring that creative freedom must be emotionally approved by the kingdom's Ministry of Feelings. Another rumored gag? The parody princess launching her own Reimagining studio, where every fairy tale must pass a 37-point empowerment checklist before villagers are allowed to tell it. Spoiler alert, no one in the village shows up. And the most savage pitch of all? A fake streaming service promo called Notflix, where Rachel's cartoon persona is the face of every reboot, sequel, and legacy destruction imaginable. A grim joke on how quickly public goodwill can collapse when stars forget what made audiences love these stories in the first place. Insiders say the writers aren't just mocking the original Snowwoke character anymore. They're targeting something bigger. The reaction to the reaction. The panic. The silence. The desperate attempt to control a joke that had already left the station. Because in satire, once the public laughs at you without you, the battle's over. You've lost. And Rachel's frantic behind-the-scenes scramble, according to those close to production, didn't just lose the battle. It handed The Simpsons the ultimate sequel script on a silver platter. No need to exaggerate. No need to invent new flaws. All they have to do is mirror what's already playing out. Louder, messier, and more brutally than anything the writers could have dreamed up in a vacuum.
What has been the reaction to Disney's latest expensive own goal?
Well, the reaction has been absolutely horrible. It is the worst box office from a Disney live action remake that they've ever done.
And if even half of these leaked ideas make it into a second episode, Rachel Zegler won't just be a footnote in Simpsons history, she'll be a case study. At first, Rachel Zegler's silence seemed like it might be a smart play. Stay quiet, ride it out, let the internet's outrage machine move on to the next target. But as days stretched into weeks, insiders say that silence stopped feeling strategic and started feeling dangerous. Because the brutal truth is, when you're the face of a cultural punchline this big, disappearing doesn't make people forget. It makes them remember louder. Sources close to the situation say Rachel's team debated several options behind closed doors, issue a cheeky statement, post a self-aware meme, maybe even appear on a late-night show and laugh it off. But every idea got shot down. Fear of making it worse. Fear of saying the wrong thing. Fear, fear, fear. And that fear, it's allegedly reading louder than any meme. In Hollywood, perception is reality. And the longer Rachel stays silent, the more her absence confirms the narrative The Simpsons first joked about. A performer who can't laugh at herself, can't own the moment, and can't connect to the audience she lost. Meanwhile, the internet isn't pausing out of respect. It's accelerating.
Go see Snow White right now. The new one. Not that old stupid one where the princess gets saved by some good, upstanding guy.
Meme pages now regularly refer to Rachel's cartoon alter ego as if she's a real person. TikTok audios of her parody quotes are stitched into everything from breakup videos to political memes. YouTube commentary channels aren't just roasting Snowwoke anymore. They're dissecting Rachel's refusal to engage as proof she was never ready for the spotlight Disney handed her. And the silence? It's not being read as dignity anymore. It's being read as defeat. Insiders say even within Disney, the mood has shifted. One marketing executive allegedly described Rachel's position as untenable, not because of anything she said recently, but because by saying nothing, she's let the parody grow roots, memes, and a momentum of its own. If The Simpsons writers were allegedly sharpening their pencils before, Rachel's ongoing silence is handing them a fresh box of ink. And with a sequel in development, insiders whisper, every second she stays quiet might be setting the stage for a takedown even Satire's fiercest critics will find hard to argue against. Because in today's culture, you can survive being mocked. You can even survive being hated, but you can't survive being dismissed. And right now, Rachel's disappearing act is writing a tragedy, one silent second at a time.
And to everyone who hates when I win, the winged victory came to the Louvre in pieces, and people still line up to see her.
Behind the scenes, Rachel Zegler's situation isn't just a meme, it's a warning. Industry insiders are now whispering about something they're calling the Zegler effect. The terrifying realization that one star's mishandled moment can ignite a viral firestorm no PR team on Earth can put out. And Hollywood, it's scrambling. Sources say casting directors, agents, and studio heads are already rewriting their playbooks. New mandates are allegedly popping up in actor contracts. Stricter media training, tighter control over interviews, even social media temperament tests before final casting decisions. One exec reportedly put it like this: we're not just hiring talent anymore, we're hiring restraint. because Rachel didn't just fumble a movie. She accidentally proved that in 2025, a single poorly handled press tour can spiral into cultural collapse, and that satire, memes, and internet culture move way faster than any studio's ability to react. It's not about Snow White anymore. It's about brand safety. One agency insider even revealed that internal meetings are now simulating Simpsons scenarios, mock exercises where PR teams are asked, if your client became a viral laughingstock overnight, how would you pivot? How would you survive? The tone in those rooms, grim, cautious, like people planning for an earthquake they know is coming but can't predict where it will hit next.
Rachel, did Steven Spielberg not pay you for your role in West Side Story? Did Disney fail to give you a healthy paycheck for, Cry Me a River? She's just exactly everything that we can't stand.
And here's the part that has the suits sweating the most. Rachel wasn't accused of a crime. She wasn't caught in a scandal. She didn't implode because of something catastrophic. She imploded because of vibe. Because audiences didn't like how she talked about the legacy she was trusted to protect. Because her tone felt wrong. Her attitude felt cold. Her detachment felt insulting. And that small fracture, left untreated, opened into a chasm no amount of Disney dollars could bridge. Now, studios are allegedly second-guessing every casting choice tied to a legacy character. Will this actor honor the role or lecture the audience? Will fans fall in love or feel talked down to? Could they survive a Simpsons parody or become one? Because Rachel Zegler didn't just trigger a meme wave, she triggered a reckoning. And if a second parody episode does land,
Rachel Zegler is extraordinarily woke, but she's woke in a way that's quite deranged.
Insiders say it'll be the pop culture equivalent of posting a "Beware of Dog" sign outside every future fairy tale reboot. If The Simpsons go through with the sequel, if even half the rumored jokes about Rachel Zegler's meltdown make it onto air, insiders say the damage to her career could be more than temporary. It could be permanent, because here's the brutal reality of pop culture. One parody might sting. 2, that defines you permanently, especially when it's a show like The Simpsons, an institution that has outlived presidents, billionaires, and blockbuster franchises. When they roast you twice, you don't just take a reputational hit. You become a pop culture archetype. And in Rachel's case, that archetype is dangerously close to solidifying. The young starlet who mistook empowerment for entitlement. The modern princess who forgot to honor the crown she was handed. The performer who could give interviews but couldn't take a joke. Insiders are already whispering about it behind closed doors. Casting directors allegedly warn that if a second parody lands, Rachel's name will trigger hesitation, not excitement. Brand managers worry that attaching her to family-friendly IPs could backfire, sparking memes faster than trailers.
According to reports, Gal and Rachel got along during filming. It's afterwards that things took a turn.
One producer even joked darkly, "We're not just vetting scripts now, we're vetting meme potential." Because when you become a running joke on The Simpsons, especially twice, you stop being seen as a blank slate. You stop being seen as someone audiences can project dreams onto. Instead, you become the punchline they can't unhear. And that stain, it doesn't wash out easily, especially not in an industry built on first impressions and fragile audience goodwill. If the sequel hits, and especially if it hits as hard as insiders are predicting, Rachel Zegler's next audition won't be against other young actresses. It'll be against the meme burned into everyone's memory. And unless she finds a way to reclaim the narrative, fast, boldly, and with humility, it won't matter how good her performances are. People won't be seeing the character she's playing. They'll be seeing the parody she couldn't survive. At this point, it's clear. This story stopped being just about Rachel Zegler a long time ago. She's no longer just an actress facing a rough press cycle. She's become the living, breathing symbol of a much bigger fracture running straight through Hollywood and the audiences it's supposed to serve, because Rachel's downfall didn't ignite over a scandal. It wasn't about crime, betrayal, or some shocking hidden secret. It was about something far more subtle and far more damning. It was about trust. Audiences trusted that when they handed over their childhood favorites, fairy tales, heroes, beloved legacies, the stars stepping into those stories would care.
People have real problems and no one gives a shit if she got paid for 17 instead of 18 on her multi-million-dollar salary, which is not calculated by the hour.
They expected a sense of wonder, of honor, of understanding about why these characters mattered for generations. Instead, they got lectures. They got defensiveness. They got the sinking feeling that maybe, just maybe, the people remaking the magic didn't even believe in it anymore. Rachel Zegler became the face of that betrayal, not because she's evil or talentless or undeserving, but because her words, her attitude, and her refusal to read the room cracked open a conversation that had been bubbling for years. And when The Simpsons parodied her, they weren't just mocking Rachel, they were mocking the entire machine that thought audiences would swallow contempt wrapped in a glittery reboot package. That's why her panic exploded into a cultural moment. That's why the internet didn't just react, they rallied, because deep down, millions of viewers saw something bigger. A reminder of everything they feel slipping away from their stories, their movies, their heroes. Rachel's silence now feels symbolic too, not just of a star stunned into stillness, but of an industry that still doesn't get why the backlash happened in the first place. It's not about nostalgia versus progress. It's about respect versus replacement. It's about storytelling versus sermons. And if The Simpsons air a second parody, it won't just be another jab at Rachel Zegler. It will be a line in the sand between the audiences who still believe in magic and the industry stars who forgot how to. Rachel Zegler's story isn't over. Not yet, but if the whispers are true, and a second Simpsons parody is already in the works, then she's standing at the edge of a cliff few actors ever come back from. Because in Hollywood, you don't get to control whether the audience laughs. You only get to choose whether you laugh with them or disappear under the weight of the punchline. Right now, Rachel's silence is writing her legacy faster than any PR team can spin it. Every day without a response, without a wink, without a shred of humility, pushes the image deeper into permanence. Not the fearless new Princess Disney once promised, but the symbol of an industry that stopped listening to the people it was supposed to enchant. And here's the hardest truth. Rachel could still turn it around. She could own the moment, laugh at herself, reclaim the narrative before the sequel cements it forever, because audiences aren't cruel by nature. They don't need stars to be perfect. They need them to be human, vulnerable, self-aware. They need to believe that the magic still matters to the people trusted to carry it forward. But if Rachel keeps running, keeps hiding, keeps pretending the firestorm isn't real, then when that second parody airs, when the cartoon princess clumsily tries to sue Krusty the Clown or rebrand fairy tales into lectures, it won't feel like a cheap shot. It'll feel like prophecy. And Rachel Zegler's name won't just be a headline or a hashtag. It'll be a warning. So what do you think? Is it already too late for Rachel to reclaim her story? Or is there still a chance she can turn the tide if she faces the moment head on? Did The Simpsons go too far? Or did they just say what audiences had been thinking for far too long? Drop your thoughts in the comments below. Hit like if you think Hollywood needs to start honoring the magic it was built on. And don't forget to subscribe for more no-fluff breakdowns of the moments the industry wishes you wouldn't see. And when you're ready to dive into the next unfiltered Hollywood meltdown, the next video is already waiting for you.